Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Life West Leadership Line. I'm Dr. Ron Oberstein, president of Life West, and it's a pleasure to be here today. Today, I have a chiropractor who graduated in 1965 from Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa. I got Dr. Scott Walker with us today. Welcome, Dr. Scott.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. I'll just give you a little information on Dr. Walker. 56 years in practice, still seeing patients, but he's also done a ton of research. When he graduated, he was in LA, went to Los Angeles till about 1971, from 65 to 71. And then he came to beautiful sunny San Diego from 1971 onward. You might know Scott if you've heard of him. You've heard of something called Neuro-Emotional Technique, NET. Scott is the founder of Neuro-Emotional Technique. He also has a foundation for research, which we will hopefully be touching on. And he's just done amazing things in the profession. And I think for us to Scott, it's just great to have you on the show, just to share your knowledge and what you've accomplished over the last 56 years is really incredible. So welcome.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, appreciate it.
You got it. So just share with us briefly, how'd you get into chiropractic? Obviously, you went to school probably in 62 or 63.
Yeah, that's right.
So how did it happen?
I'll tell you, my story is like a lot of other stories. I had a football injury, went to a chiropractor. He laid me out on the table, adjusted me, reached up and grabbed a hold of my neck. And he said, "You have a lot of pressure up there." I said, "Oh." He says, "You want me to adjust it?" I said, "Is it extra?" I don't know. So he did adjust me. But here's the thing. He didn't take a case history. He was in one of those old offices, old time chiropractors, dust balls going across the floor. And what he didn't know, Ron, was that I suffered with headaches every single day of my life for 15 years, daily. My mother was a nurse, and she got like big canisters of aspirin. And I'd take 3 or 4 of them and throw them back and suck on them all day. My friends called me aspirin breath, right? But I had suffered with these headaches all that time. And he reached up and grabbed a hold of my upper cervicals and he went, and that was it. I knew I was going to be a chiropractor. My headache went away. He didn't even know I had a headache.
How old were you?
He didn't even know I had one. No case history.
I love it. How old were you? Were you 15?
15.
Wow. That's incredible.
So I knew. My feet didn't even hit the floor. I knew.
Where were you? Were you in LA? Where were you from? Where were you raised?
No. I'm near the panhandle of West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
I'm a hillbilly. I'm a hillbilly. You had to travel like 13 miles through the hills to get to a chiropractor.
I love it. It's so interesting because when you talk about people who started school from, anywhere from we'll go back early 1900s up until, even when I started school in 78, and it was kind of like everyone had a story, of how they got into chiropractic, right? It wasn't like we were in kinesiology classes, teaching about chiropractic I don't think they were even doing kinesiology school, classes at the time, but it's a great story, and so you got in, you went to Palmer and then you went to Los Angeles and started there. How did this lead you to NET? How'd that happen?
Well, the history, one chiropractic adjustment, that's all you need. That was my story. That's, I'm going, this is great. You just go adjust somebody and then they're well. Tell you the truth, no one dissuaded me from that when I got to school. Yeah. So anyhow, but that didn't work out that way. Okay. I got out of school and then I was like adjusting people and they weren't getting well, or they get well slowly, or they get well and then they get worse and then they have to keep coming back, or all kinds of things that were not part of my dream. Okay. It just weren't. And so I went to seminars 3 weekends every month for about 15 years. In other words, I'm seminar junkie. I wanted to catch that magic because, and you're married to a chiropractor too. I'm married to a chiropractor. We know sometimes that miracle comes in and it works and it's fantastic when it does, but why doesn't it do it all the time? So they were ruining my dream. Okay. So I got to go do something about this. So, and I knew that D.D. Palmer said it is trauma, toxins, and autosuggestion. And autosuggestion is an archaic term, really means psychological or emotional stress. But none of these seminars that I went to were teaching how to get rid of that. And the only thing I knew was send them to a psychologist. So I thought, well, they're not getting well fast enough, so I'll send them to a psychologist. That didn't work because they had psychological problems. And they were said, well, I got to see the guy for 2 years. And I'm thinking, geez, I told him 3 times a week for 6 weeks. What? How, this, like, you're ruining my timeline. Okay. So anyhow, long story short, I put together all the things that I learned in those 15 years of going to seminars. I put them all together into one package. And in that package, I got lucky. It worked. I got rid of the emotional stress, and it took care of what I originally set out to do. And I really set out to do this. I declared war on the chronic recurring vertebral subluxation. It was my personal war, because if we can get the adjustment to hold, we can get the patient well. Yeah. And I could not get that done.
Yeah, but Didi talked about it in his writings, I mean, he felt that, whatever it was, I don't know what percentage, but 98% of subluxations were, emotionally based or, psychologically based, right? And we always have those falls, your football accidents, like your sport accidents, whatever it is. But, I think it's so beautiful because, if we're not getting to that third component, right, or, the first component, thoughts, traumas and toxins, whatever you want to call it. But if we're not getting there, there's all these ways. So you devised this, you 15 years, you came upon this, you stumbled upon it, you put it together. And then you have this thing called Neuro-Emotional Technique, or whatever you ended up naming it. What'd you do with it? Like, how do you start a technique? How do you get it out there to the chiropractors?
I didn't want to teach seminars. I didn't want to get it out there. I just want to get my patients well. Mm-hmm. But then I had a lot of chiropractors as patients. And so they said, Walker, what are you doing? For God's sake, that got rid of this problem, it got rid of that problem on a seminar. Okay, seminar. So about a mile from here, there was a little hotel, rented a room, went in there, taught a seminar on a Saturday afternoon. It was over. I was into fishing in those days, down there in the docks. I wasn't figuring on doing another seminar. I wasn't. But, Monday morning, these guys were calling me and they said, Walker, I've had this patient in here for 8 years and they've got this chronic problem and it fixed her. And I kept on getting that. And so I kind of felt a moral obligation. Well, maybe I should teach another seminar. I said, okay, I'll teach another seminar, but I'm not going out of state. That's it. And of course, I've been all over the world at this point. So it's been, I'll tell you the truth, Ron. Let me tell you the truth. The truth of it is I got busy from that moment on. And I just slowed down a year and a half ago. And it's like, I'm Rip Van Walker. Like I didn't know. That's why I don't remember anything when we met and all that kind of stuff. It's been a big blur. Okay. It's been a total blur. And so I'm going like, I don't even know what's going on in chiropractic right now. Here I am. I'm slowed down. My wife running the business, taking care of things, got other teachers out there. But I just, coming up for air now. So nice to be with you.
Yeah, it's good. Hey, welcome, and take a deep breath, because, when you talk about that, if that's what it takes, Scott, it really takes someone who's focused, and and a lot of times to get focused and to grow what you're doing, because you've got, thousands of docs out there doing NET. And I think that people need to know that you can do NET with Gonstead. You can do NET with Atlas orthogonal. NET is an adjunct just to handle the emotional traumas and the emotional subluxation component, right? The causes, so to speak. But the interesting thing is it takes people to be buried in there. I'll tell you what, just 2 days ago, I interviewed on the Life Leadership Line, Roy Sweat, 74 years in practice. He's 93 years young, right? You talk about having your head down, and he's still inventing, still looking at how can I get better and what can we do? And that's what it takes from people like yourself in order to create this evolutionary change, right? And, it's not a one-time wonder. Here it is. See you later. I'm going fishing, As much as we would have liked it to been at the beginning, you got stuck in it, because you opened that door, and yet you're saving thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives. So thank you for that.
Well, thanks for mentioning that, because what I want to say, if I had a message for anyone listening, is your technique works better than you think it does. It works way better than you think it does, because the emotional component is compromising the results of the technique. And once you plug in and you know how to dissolve and resolve this emotional stress, then your technique shines. It works better.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it because I don't think it's for everybody, and by the way, I want to say this for anyone that's thinking out there, it's not a psychological technique. It's not a talk it out technique. Okay. Because if it was that, I wouldn't do it. And I certainly wouldn't teach it to chiropractors because I love chiropractors too much. What do we want to do? Talk to our patients, No, we don't want to talk to our patients. We want to get them well.
Right.
And so this is not a talk it out therapy. And my wife and I were both seeing over 80 patients a day. We had 160 some patients a day going through our office. And we were doing it in 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes with our primary technique, because I was raised on Gonstead, and with our other techniques. And then we just did the NET whenever it needed it. Every patient didn't need NET every time, but about every third patient would. So it was the war on the chronic vertebral subluxation. And so we've got it now. We've got it nailed. We've got it. Maybe 99%, we've got it nailed. And so I'm excited about that. And I went around the world and I met all these chiropractors that like you, Ron, and all these other guys, wonderful people. They're angels out there. I didn't know that. I didn't know how angelic chiropractors were. And then I found out. I said, oh my God, I'm working with angels. I'm on earth and I'm working with angels. Oh, it's just it's heartwarming to me.
Yeah.
And I was in that. Go ahead. You want to say?
I was going to say that the compassion, that's one of the things about our profession. They say people talk about, oh, well, we don't know business, or we don't do this, or in school they're complaining like, I don't get enough. They don't ever complain in school. It's after school. And it's kind of like, you can learn it. You can learn that stuff. And I've always said this, I can take a servant, which most chiropractors are, and you can teach them the business aspect. It's difficult to take a business person and teach them how to be a servant, right? And that angelical quality that you're seeing is our service, that we love what we're so compassionate and so passionate about what we do, right? Correcting subluxations, allowing people to function better from the inside out, right? And knowing that within them, their ability to heal is far greater than that they were ever led to believe, and it's a big job.
You almost made me cry.
Oh, stop. Hey, let's jump. I want to talk about this because I know, you've been doing research, and we're going to put it on the bottom. And for all of our listeners, go check out, Dr. Walker's site, on NET. You'll see that stuff there. And at the end, we'll put a way that you can communicate with Dr. Walker. But let's talk about research, because I know that you have the One Research Foundation, right? You put that together, and I know that you've been passionate about research for all these years, right? And and a lot of times when people are passionate about research, it's not something you sit around and talk about. Hey, let's talk about research. It's just not one of those things that people talk about so much. But share with us, because research is so important right now in our profession, and it always has been.
Well, harken back. It wasn't that long ago that we were fighting the AMA, and we were, contain and eliminate. We went down to Parker and we took money out of our pockets. And let's fight. We're fighting for chiropractic. Let's go for it. And then back in those days, I had this technique, and it was a good technique for emotional stress. And I thought, well, this is a good way to get arrested. And this is a good way to have the California Board of Psychology Examiners or whatever. And chiropractors were going like, what? Emotions? And so I thought, I just was on a conference call 2 days ago, and there were psychologists and homeopaths and acupuncturists and all, and they were on there, and they said, well, Dr. Walker, we know that it was a panel call, and they said, we know you do a lot of research. What good is research for us? I said, I don't know for you. For me, it kept me out of jail. I was real passionate about research because I had to survive, oh my God. But anyhow, yeah, we started doing research, and it was coming in from all over. I think the first paper was on hypercholesteremia, another one on phobia, another one comes in on ADHD, something else on polycystic ovary, somebody else comes in on something else. And so we had all these conditions were coming in, we're getting these great results. And so we don't know. Emotions are such a big thing in people's lives. That's the neuropeptides and the fallout from the limbic system. It affects the nervous system so much. And so we haven't found anything that it's not good for.
Right.
Who knew?
Right. So, but who's doing the research?
Okay. Well, I have individual practitioners are out there doing it. With our one of our more productive researchers named Peter Babels. He's down in Sydney, Australia. He's a chiropractor to the stars down there. Very prodigious guy down there. And then we had this guy come to one of our seminars. He was an MD, and he came to the seminar. And he kept on asking questions, and I answered all the questions. And he said, "Huh." And his grandmother took him to a chiropractor when he was small. So he had no bias about it.
Right.
Then he became the head of the integrative center in Philadelphia, Thomas Jefferson. And he has taken NET and he's done all these studies with NET on all these different kinds of conditions, and like PTSD, cancer patients. And the one that just came in finally got back to chiropractic. It was about the cerebellum, how with functional MRI, you can see the changes in the cerebellum and in the limbic system.
Right.
So this is a real hotbed right now for the One Foundation. We're funding that. We did a study on the genome. We're doing something on pelvic floor pain. We're doing something with the vets. In other words, people are hungry. And this COVID year, where everybody's stressed, where can we go get some help? Well, there's a documentary actually on YouTube too. It's called Stressed, and it's about NET. It's kind of a fun thing for the patients and so on.
Okay, it's on YouTube. Stressed.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So our viewers can go watch that. When you talk about research, and obviously you're funding research because that's what with the One Research Foundation, and you're doing research too, of course. I would love to have some of the research up at the college, because I think that our students need to see this, and our practitioners also. When you start seeing the research that's out there and you start seeing how it's proliferating, it's one of those things that, like I said, people just don't talk about, and yet there is a lot of great research that's out there, right? That we could start, that we could start looking at and really showing that, this is the science behind what's happening, right? So we can.
That's right. Remember, Ron, we used to get ripped by the medical profession. We used to get ripped because we didn't have any research. Well, if they give us just a little bit of the money that's put into NIH, we could do a little bit of research. Okay, so we couldn't do that. They didn't give us the money. So we had practitioners out of their pockets, these angels, gave money to the One Research Foundation and started this research. But now you see what's happening is everybody's interested in stress. And I'd love to see life and other colleges start to do the research. So they were beating us on the head with this club. You don't have any research. You don't have any research. And one of our doctors said, let's go beat them with the same club. Let's go do the research. Okay, research, is that what you want? You want some research? We'll give you some research. You should see the stuff. And you'll see it when you get to the website. We're changing the brain. The functional MRI, you change the brain. It's all lit up. And then after NET, it's not all lit up. Okay. Yeah. And these docs back there, they say that it's permanent. There you go. What else do you want, people?
Yeah. I love it. And thank you for doing this stuff, because you know what? It's not just for, to beat them with a club. You know what it also does? It definitely increases our fortitude and our assurance, that to know that we know that what we're doing is making a difference, right? And we know it anecdotally, because our patients tell us and all that stuff. But when you can see the brain lit up and then the brain not lit up, and it stays not lit up and they're not being affected, not only are we seeing it anecdotally, we're seeing it, right there, in the research realm. But, let me ask you a question. You're talking about the brain, we're talking about the nervous system, obviously, right? And obviously everything you do and the work you do is inclusive of the nervous system, right? So let's talk about, how you view and what you're seeing in the nervous system, because I think that all of our listeners, we are about the nervous system. We're about, the spine, because the spine houses the nervous system, but really the nervous system is the effect, to the cause, which is, obviously, harbored in our spine with some of the subluxations, and in the brain, like you just talked about. Let's talk about it. Share with me that, your view on the nervous system.
Well, thanks for that, Ron. The nerve. We never want to forget about the safety pin cycle. That is such a great model, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, what I would like everyone to do just a little bit is, you already know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If everybody would blur their eyes just a little bit and realize that what we have is not one nervous system, central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, autonomic, parasympathetic, sympathetic. We have that. We know that. But we also have another nervous system, and that nervous system is the acupuncture system. That acupuncture system runs in lockstep with the central nervous system. A lot of chiropractors don't know that, and maybe the acupuncturists don't know it either. But I've got this model because I was hoping I'd get a chance to talk about this. Right up and down the spine. This is called the governing vessel, right up and down the spine. And along there, there's some meridians that are called the bladder meridians, and they sprout off energy to all other parts of the body. Well, you remember, Ron, the nervous system comes from ectoderm. Mm-hmm. So does the skin. The ectoderm produces both of these nervous systems, and these nervous systems run lockstep. The meridian system in the body. So when you're doing chiropractic, you never heard of NET, you don't care about NET, you never do anything, but you are affecting the meridians of the body when you're adjusting that spine. That's just all there is to it. So that's the second nervous system. The third nervous system that we have, I call it the liquid nervous system. Liquid nervous system is because of neuropeptides that circulate through the body. Neuropeptides, of course, are peptides made in nerve tissue. Nerve tissue spits them out into serous circulation. They go through the blood and through the cerebral spinal fluid and so forth, interstitial fluid, and they carry with them neuropeptides, which go to target organs. So now we're in the safety pin cycle again. It's coming from the nerves, it's going back down into the body, and then the body is producing neuropeptides and putting them back in circulation, and it's going back up again. So we have that nervous system. It includes the hormones, it includes all the neurotransmitters, it's got the whole shebang. So we've got three nervous systems, and there's probably, you can call the fourth enteric nervous system from the gut, but just keep it easy. Three nervous systems working in conjunction with each other. And that's why we're getting the results on all these various kinds of conditions, because we're supercharging the chiropractic technique that people are already using. We're just putting the whammy on it. Turn up the heat. Let's go.
And Scott, as you talk about that, oh man, it's like, it just shocks me that people would walk around thinking, oh, well, what do you guys do? You just, you do this on the back, or whatever, or you just correct subluxations. And that's all we have to do. But the effect of that to these three nervous systems, four nervous systems, whatever, at 5 or 6 or 7, as they start to continue and evolve, right? We keep going, that it is so complex. And yet what we do is so simple, because this system is so complex that it doesn't need a lot to be able to access, right? Talk to Donnie Epstein, perfect example, right? I just had him on the show about a month ago, right? And, and Donnie, the work he's doing, it's just accessing points and letting the nervous system just take over. And, he just follows it. He's just like you, we're just following what's going on, and you allow the master, which is the nervous system, to lead us. It knows what it wants to do, right? It's just, and all we got to do is be there to take away obstruction. And it goes back to that old saying, nature needs no help, just no interference, right? And as we start to take away the interference, that could be there, whether emotional, which is lodged in the spine, right? It's lodged there.
You got it.
And that's what you're doing. It's not a psychological technique. It's lodged in the spine. And as we take that away simply and easily, while you're doing Gonstead, while you're doing whatever else, while you're doing, doesn't matter, and you take that away, you're just taking away those other components. Just like we tell someone to stop eating Roundup, for the toxicities that are there, and stop, jumping off your house and doing backflips on the concrete, because of the subluxations that can happen. It's the same kind of thing, right? And I'm just excited, I really am, because I think that the more we evolve, and there'll be people who go, oh my gosh, that's not chiropractic. Well, you know what? Chiropractic is the nervous system. And as we access that, whether it's from the 2,000-year-old model you just showed, from acupuncture that's been around for ages, and we can go to Asia, and it's just been there, and they don't question it. They know that it works, and it's part of their everyday lifestyle. And to what we're learning, right now in chiropractic school. It's all integrated there, and it's just beautiful. So, you've done an amazing job pulling this together, and don't stop, brother. Keep going, okay? You might slow down, but don't stop. That's the key.
I don't know.
Hey, Scott, we're kind of coming to the end of our show, and I do have a question I want to ask you. 50 years from now, 50 years, you know, you might not be on the planet. Nah, we'll say 75 years. You might last a lot longer than that. 75 years from now, you know, you're up at the gates, you're hanging with the greats in chiropractic, you know, that's where you deserve to be. And you're all talking technique and doing whatever and just sharing, you know, what you learned. And, you know, you're with the real angels now. And you look down and you see chiropractic, you know, and tell me, what would be your vision? How would you want to see this profession?
I think it's not the chiropractic profession. It's not chiropractic. It is that intelligence that's in the body. It's that universal intelligence. And that universal intelligence is underappreciated. And our mission, my opinion, our mission in the chiropractic profession is to let people know about that, to demonstrate it through health, relief. And when people, and we will do that, because why? Because it's the truth. We will do that. We can't be worrying about big pharma, and we can't be worrying about mess. We can only be worrying about what we've got in front of us, and that's releasing nerve pressure. Once that's done, and the truth of universal intelligence gets out, all the angels in heaven are going to go, finally,
Yeah.
finally,
Yeah.
finally, these people down on earth understand what we've been trying to tell them. And so that people then will just take universal intelligence, innate intelligence, and health as just a fact, as just a matter of fact in life, like breathing, like, oh, of course that intelligence is there to help us. When we get in trouble, and we will, it's there to help us and get out of trouble. So just to make it available and understood by the masses, that's what I think my mission is, what our mission is, I think.
And, you know, and that's our job. Like, I have to tell you this. The interesting thing about it is I interviewed Dee Umber. You know Dee Umber, right? Dee Umber, you know, been practicing since 1956. I asked him the same question, Scott. You know what he said to me? He said that if people understand that intelligence within their body, that's what chiropractic works with, right? That same thing, that exact same thing. Herbert Ross Reaver, when I spent time with him years ago, right? We were very close. I became close with him, and him with me. And Herbert Ross Reaver, when we interviewed him at one point, this was years ago, he said, someone asked him, how did you start a practice back in the early days? You know, and here's what he said. He said, when we got out of school, we were so hungry to tell the world about innate intelligence. That's exactly what you're saying, right? Start letting people know that within them, they've got the power to heal. It's all there. And I love that. That was a beautiful answer. So, Scott, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Our viewers will be visiting you. I mean, you know, we're going to put all the, you know, how to get a hold of you, and it'll already be on the bottom of the screen. I want people to go to the One Research Foundation so they can see the cool things that are on there, and then the NET website, and I just want to thank you. Keep going, brother. We got a lot of chiropractors, a lot of young chiropractors coming out who need the wisdom, and they need the elders in our profession to start bringing this about and sharing that. So keep doing that. And thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Yes. And to our viewers, thank you for listening. You know, Scott dropped a bunch of just pearls of wisdom. You know, just take it in. And I love, Scott, what you talked. It's really simple. It's not as complicated as we want to make it, right? It's simple. But you got to get to that point to boil it down to the simplicity. So please take this, enjoy it. I'm so proud and honored that you're watching us and that you're with us at our Life Leadership Line, and keep coming back, you know, as we produce these shows every couple of weeks. And just know that we love and appreciate you, and that what you do is literally making a world of difference. So keep doing what you're doing. And until our next show, Dr. Walker and I will bid you adieu, and just hope that you have a blessed day and that you keep, delivering the goods of chiropractic. So until next time, we'll see you later.